Welcome to the Fort Lauderdale Art and Design Week. This is going to be an exciting conversation. My name is Stephen Rodan, and I will be the moderator for this evening's discussion as we run through the topic of XR, Women in VR, an inside look into the worlds of virtual reality, art, and innovation. So I'm joined here today by Elisa Christine and Brooke Einbender. Welcome to both of you.
Thank you so much for having us.
And gratitude.
Yeah, well, before we begin, I'd like to extend a helpful note to our audience. We'll be using the acronyms AR, XR, and VR rather interchangeably. So I just want to explain this really quickly so it's clear. VR stands for virtual reality, which is typically when an individual or artist, like we have here, puts on a digital headset and is then fully immersed into the virtual world. On the contrary, AR stands for augmented reality. For example, when you use your camera phone and a Snapchat filter gives you dog ears, or on your computer, your Zoom background is changed to a galaxy filled with pizza riding kittens. Technology allows us a growing spectrum of possibilities when it comes to VR and AR. And so this overarching spectrum is what we refer to as XR, or the extended reality. Did I make this clear? Is there anything else that you guys would like to comment?
I think you nailed it.
It's clear to me, but,
yeah.
You know.
Excellent. Baby steps for everyone. Well, thank you. I appreciate that. And by way of introductions, I'd like to start with Elisa Christine, also known by her work as LUVRworldwide. Elisa Christine is a multi-dimensional, multi-sensory, visionary virtual reality healing XR artist. She's a photographer, author, and crypto curator. Her creations focus on positive change by inspiring inner growth, spirituality, and sustainability. Welcome, Elisa. She is the founder of LUVRworldwide, and she's able to blend all these boundaries of art, wellness, being virtual, but also, as I've spoken with her, being really present. So, Elisa, welcome. Tell us a bit about your work, your journey, and we can dive into some of the things that you've been able to manifest.
Wow, thank you. I don't even know where to begin, really. So in gratitude for this session, I was able to highlight some of the pieces that I've been working on and some of the projects I've been working on. And it's been really exciting meeting and connecting with a lot of people in the space, like Brooke and others. And, you know, I'm working on a crypto art gallery right now, and I've been doing VR for maybe 3 years. And let's see, I'm very inspired by creating the artwork in a way that helps bring light, right? So a lot of the artwork in VR is all about light. And one of my missions is to bring light in the healing arts, right? So now I'm able to combine the healing arts and the virtual reality art into a stream of offering to anyone, whether they're spiritual or not, or they're looking for enlightenment or not. You know, you're immersed in light. And that's just like what anybody can say when they're in VR. And when I create my artwork, it's with that intention as well. So, you know, there is definitely a purpose behind the pieces that I'm creating. And so I guess that's a little brief introduction, and we can dive into more later, I guess.
Well, I just find it so fascinating after looking at your work, and we should dive into it as soon as possible, but I've never seen this before. And I've seen a lot of ways that people use technology, but in particular, your way of using technology to help people heal. It's an absolutely breakthrough method and technique. And I'm so excited to meet people or even try it myself. I can come see you again in Miami. Is that where you're based?
Oh yeah, I'm based in Miami. I've been here for quite some time. I call it home for sure.
And Brooke, where are you based right now?
So I'm based in the beautiful mountains of Telluride, Colorado, population 2,500. So drastic shift from Miami, and right now it's
right,
2 degrees outside. So we're hot and cold.
Yeah, and meanwhile, I'm on the other side of the planet, down in Byron Bay, Australia. So one thing we'll talk about later too is how awesome and wonderful is that technology not only allows us to communicate in light speed, but when we dive into virtual reality, how much that opens up as a possibility for creation, exploration, and connection. So without further ado, to give our audience a little more understanding of what Elisa means when she's talking about LUVR Worldwide and Healing XR, would you mind showing us your work? And after we watch it, we can open a discussion.
Hello. Are you ready?
Ready.
To the virtual immersive 2D, 3D, NFT, crypto art music gallery. My name is Elisa Christine, also known as LUVR Worldwide. And basically this came together by inspiration of the cancellation of Art Basel in Miami. I was very interested in keeping the vibe alive and created an opportunity for artists to submit artwork from all around the world. So we've got some top crypto artists in here, some emerging crypto artists in here, and all of the platforms can be explored. Some of them are interactive pieces. This piece here is a sculpture that actually is a part of a VR 360 music video that I created for the band Love Crushed Velvet.
I enjoy being able to offer something that people can connect and resonate with, and also something that may be new. I kind of wanted to not only express the painting as a concept or as a visual, but also as you experiencing the growing of that and the alignment of that. When you're in the VR space, I don't really know what the limitations are. You're coloring the darkness, and that's the way that I'm enjoying the most. So the virtual reality therapy is a journey where you are exploring a painting that I've created, and you're experiencing light in many different forms. So energetically, I'm able to incorporate Reiki and guided meditation to help you see more, feel more, experience more, open your heart, open your mind.
Bravo.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
You covered a lot of different ways to use this technology, even at the end where you see a bunch of dancers and that augmented reality flower, to what it looked like you had a lot of art competitions that you've been able to participate in and even excel within. And then you have private sessions where you're using virtual reality. There's so many ways you're using this technology. How did you even begin to think that this was the path you wanted to go down? It sounds like this is pioneering work. What sort of inspired you to create these collaborations?
Yeah.
Stripping.
The answer I have is basically, right, The simple form is that it was an opportunity that appeared and I jumped on it, right? And then my fairy tale answer is, you know, just like in the Matrix, you know, Neo was chosen, right? So I kind of see it in that way. I was just offered this opportunity at an art festival in Costa Rica, and they were looking for someone to paint live in virtual reality, and I had not used virtual reality yet. And I had tried it out in a pop-up tilt brush, you know, how sometimes at a party there's these little, you know, interactive things. So I tried it. And so my experience in tilt brush was probably 5 to 10 minutes total before I did the art festival. And they just were like, okay, let's go. You know, if you're into it, I'm like, yes. So I was like, give me a week or two. So I had about a week and a half to figure it out in Costa Rica before the festival. And then I did a live performance painting live, 35-minute painting. I did two night events. That's how it started. So, you know, it wasn't like I saw myself in a VR headset ever before that moment. I was at that time, I was actually in a digital detox of my own, making sacred jewelry with crystals and hemp cord. And you know what I mean? I was like in a completely different space, although pursuing my healing practice. And so I felt it was just, it made sense to me, since my mission has always been to share the light, right? And so now I have virtual reality to share the light. And my first painting was the Chakra Butterfly. So my first painting on stage was, I created all the chakras in a, you know, a column, and that represented the core, the center, and then the wings of the butterfly. So that was my first painting. And that's where it started. So it was just a combination of everything fusing together, and then seeing what else I can do with the technology. You know, how else can I manage to rack my brain to make something work? And that's just, it's, you know, it's just been, it's a process of discovery. You know, the innovation, the pioneering is basically a process of figuring things out every step of the way.
and to go off of that, I mean, we're all venturing into uncharted territory with this new emerging medium. So everything we create is paving the way for future artists and future experiences. And the first time I tried VR, I always wondered, how is this going to be written in art history books? And this is the next art movement, which is now. And my grandpa always told me, you don't want to be where the world is, you want to be where it's going. And it's really, I think, a special opportunity right now to explore this space, since it's so new.
Agreed. Yeah, it's definitely, it's a journey. It's a journey of experimentation. And you know, Brooke and I were talking about this the other day. Just when you feel like you've got something figured out, it changes again, and you're like, okay, back to the drawing board. You know, and just keep moving.
It's so fast paced.
Yeah,
it's very fast paced. And one more question to you, Elisa, and then I'd like to jump in with Brooke, because we've got so many comparisons here. Elisa, you talked about where you came from and where it started at Envision Festival, I think 3 years ago, with tilt brush, and now with what you've been able to show in your video, you're I think in Neos VR, but you're talking about crypto art, and crypto is a big buzzword for people in today's world. Can you talk about what crypto is and how that actually applies to your XR art?
Yeah, so crypto art is a way to digitize your artwork and register it in the blockchain. So now it's an authentic digital asset, a rare authentic digital asset, right? So it's a great way to be able to monetize the virtual reality artwork in particular. I think Brooke can also agree, because it's, you know, it's not exactly something that you can put on a wall in a gallery. It's an experience. It's a three-dimensional experience. And so what I've been able to do is combine the, you know, I'm creating the digital assets of my artwork, and I'm able to sell 3D models of the artwork, or a video, or a photo, or all three. and or, you know, so it really creates a great media, a great platform to be able to display the work and experience it. And I've created a crypto art gallery that includes 2D work and 3D work. Brooke is one of our amazing contributors of the 3D pieces. So, you know, we've got a lot of really diverse artwork that's available. And the thing about crypto art is it doesn't only have to be digital art, right? So just talking about crypto in general, it can be a traditional painting and you can digitize that, you know, you can put the photo of that painting for sale as a token. And these tokens are bought, sold, collected, and traded. And it's kind of a thing, you know, people really enjoy it. And it's a new concept for me. It's been around a few years, and I'm diving in and bringing people along the ride with me. So that's why I created the gallery and did a call to artists to get people involved in, you know, we launched it during the cancellation of Art Basel, you know, the Miami Art Week. So, you know, it was just kind of a fun, innovative way to share the artwork and experience the artwork. And you can experience it in virtual reality as well as on the PC or on the Mac. So it's very accessible.
And I have to say that entire experience of the exhibition, I wanted to write Elisa a letter after it because I was so moved by the entire community it brought together. I met artists from all over the world and crypto collectors from Dubai, London, all over. And we were able to congregate in this singular platform during a pandemic and gather and talk about art. And it was just fascinating. So kudos to Elisa. And she is the one who really welcomed me into the crypto art space. It's intimidating to enter at first. You have to get a wallet and put some Ethereum in there. And we were like trading Ethereum, trying to get this together. But it was really great to have kind of her experience be the gateway for other artists to explore and venture into this realm.
That's awesome. Thank you.
Thank you.
That was the intention and it worked. Yeah.
Oh, how sweet. Well, thank you, Elisa. It's so wonderful to watch your work, and I cannot wait till I get fully immersed into it myself. But I'd like to move the attention over to Brooke. If I could introduce her for a moment. Brooke Mindbender, or AKA Mindbender Art, is a pioneer in the exploration of VR, extended reality, AR, art and community-based collaboration. She's established new frontiers at the intersection of where art and technology meet in the context of its impact for human consciousness. She creates, like her name suggests, mind-bending experiences purposed to harness spiritual energy, transporting her viewers to different interspatial dimensions. Her work blends several disciplines into one. She's a painter, she's a virtual reality artist, makes augmented reality installations, and creates videos, all together to form, as we talked about, the unknown zone of art. So without further ado, welcome Miss Mindbender. Would you mind telling us a bit about your journey into the world of virtual reality and how that's turned you into who you are now?
Absolutely, thank you. It's been a wild ride and an incredible creative journey. So originally I'm a trained oil painter. I went to school for painting, and when I was living in New York City, I was working for this gallery in Brooklyn, and the gallery director is a multidisciplinary artist and invited me to a VR lab to try out one of her virtual reality paintings. So I put on the headset and was completely blown away and knew that I needed to integrate this medium into my painting practice somehow. So part of my mission as an XR artist is not only to educate the community and blow their minds, but also to push the boundaries in between and the spaces in between painting and mixed reality. It's just a new field, and I want to share some slides about my work. Thank you again for introducing me, Steve. And my name is Brooke, and this is my studio in Telluride. So it's part painting, part mad scientist virtual reality lab. And my practice switches between analog and digital, and learning how to combine the two. And like Elisa was saying, the element of trying to monetize digital art is a journey in itself. And so I have been experimenting with creating augmented reality oil paintings. So I'm gonna minimize this, there we go. So yeah, this is an example of an augmented reality enabled oil painting I created. So my inspiration really strives from within and uncovering the inner workings of my mysterious mind, but I'm also fascinated by fractals, sacred geometry, and every color of the rainbow. So what I found with painting is that it has its limitations, especially with a 2D surface. And what I've been exploring is that VR surpasses those limitations of painting. So I always think of my paintings as portals and spaces that I would love to jump into and immerse myself in and explore. So with VR, I'm actually able to do that. So my process involves actually, once I finish my painting, I import it into Google Tilt Brush in VR, and I put on my VR headset. Once I'm immersed in 3D blank space, I import my image of my painting and it's just floating there. And so using my remote controls as paintbrushes and palette and effects, I'm able to actually paint off that canvas into 360 degrees. And I'm expanding those layers to create a 3D model or virtual twin of my artwork. All right, this is a picture of me in VR, and this is a picture on the right, what I actually see. Hopefully this video will play. So the painting you just saw was called Breathe Out, and it's an augmented reality enabled oil painting. And this is a video of the actual VR piece and traveling through it. So it's a totally different experience between the viewer and the piece of art compared to a viewer looking at an oil painting. And so I'm really trying to experiment with the experiential aspect and interactivity. Okay. So here's some more examples of some augmented reality paintings. I use the app Arise. And what I do is attach an image of the painting to the virtual model. So when you open the app, you scan the painting and it will superimpose the 3D digital model on top of the work of art. You also don't need the work of art to produce the augmented reality piece. So it's really cool with AR. You can actually place it anywhere. And so Pokemon Go is a form of augmented reality as well, which many are familiar with. Here's another example. And this is me liberating that artwork into the world. So VR collaboration is a huge passion of mine, and it's opened so many doors and opportunities and connections, and it also expands my personal creative horizons. So this past quarantine, I was fortunate enough to collaborate with Stephen, our moderator today, and an MIT intern to create a world in VR of Tulum. So Stephen is founder of Beyond Coral Foundation, and they are working to secure this lighthouse in Tulum to turn into a research center and ecotourism destination. So this is an inside look into the Tulum world. There's infographics about coral and coral restoration, and there's an interactive element where you can actually pick up the coral and place it on artificial reefs. And the picture in the top left is me as a mushroom about to hit up the tiki bar that I created. With Burning Man getting canceled this year, so much went virtual, not just with Burning Man, but other festivals, conferences, and it opened a lot of opportunity for VR collaboration. So the Savvy Life and I collaborated by recreating a Burning Man art car called the Dang Gang in VR. So we created a 3D model of the piece, decorated it, and actually brought it into a virtual reality party called the Intergalactic Safari, where other people from all over the world could access this party via desktop or headset and party on the dang gang. And there's a live DJ and VJ controlling the lights. It was really great. I also collaborate with scientists. So I work with the Nelson Lab at UCLA, rendering their scientific research in VR. So these are 2 science journal covers that were published with my virtual reality artwork. And so with VR collaboration, there's so many different paths you can take, with whether it's with musicians, festivals, science, education, nonprofits, holistic wellness. The possibilities really are endless. So it's been really fun experimenting with extended reality exhibits. So I recently had my first solo exhibition here in Telluride called The Unknown Zone, and it showcased 15 augmented reality paintings. And it was amazing to share this with the community, educate them on the medium, and it was really wonderful. So this is a photo of me at Elisa's crypto exhibition. This is me and my avatar inside my artwork Breathe Out. And it was wonderful to talk to people from all over the world, and we were able to just be in my artwork, and it was really cool. So there's a main gallery space. In my piece, there's a portal that you dropped into. And once you dropped into the portal, this piece was in its own island, floating. It was really special. So another form of augmented reality is projection mapping. So I've been experimenting with projection mapping on my paintings, as well as a form of immersive installation. This is a historic building in Telluride called the Transfer Warehouse, and I was able to project my virtual reality artwork onto it. And last but not least, I've participated in the last 2 virtual reality burns hosted by VR Art Live. And this was my piece, A Solitary Dreamer. It's a rainbow chamber inspired by 2020, purpose to harness metamorphosis. So it was really spectacular, where people from all over the world once again became an avatar, and we were able to hang out in my installation piece. And it was a different way of thinking about the experience, because in this setting, it's actually about spatial experience where people can enter and interact, versus whether I do, a video for a music video or projection. So thank you for listening. And that's my little spiel.
Oh, I love it. There's so much to talk about.
There's
Really
so
such an amazing job. Oh, man. And I love all the interconnections that we have with Brooke. Thank you for mentioning my work with Beyond Coral and the coral restoration. It's so nice to see how Brooke and Elisa have come together on projects as well. And Elisa, you and I were wondering, how did we meet again too? Oh, that's right. We were helping to plan the virtual reality burn months back. So it's a really wonderful community in the virtual reality space. And it's nice to see everyone coming together in all these creative aspects. I'd like to shift over some of the questions specifically towards the theme of today's discussion regarding being women in this space. It's, like many would say, is a technology space, but most people would see technology as being male dominated. And something that I find so fascinating with virtual reality when you enter into these worlds is you get to choose your own avatar. As we saw with Brooke, she runs around as a giant mushroom. And for people who know me and my avatar, I'm a kangaroo. Elisa, I'm not sure what your avatar is, but I'd like to take some moments to talk about what it's like to be female in this space, and also what it's like to change your avatars if you could change your skin in the way that people interact with you in those virtual worlds. What does that feel like? So Brooke, can I jump to you? What's it like being a mushroom in a virtual world? And what's it like being a woman in this tech space?
Yeah, well, first of all, the exhibit I was part of as part of the crypto art exhibit in virtual reality was an all women's exhibition. And it featured WOCA, right, Elisa? Women of Crypto Art. So already it laid the ground for just feeling very empowered and and a greater connection featuring solely women artists in that particular exhibit. But to answer your question about avatars and digital skin, what I've found in the VR space when you are an avatar is that you don't judge someone based on their appearance. It's really a connection, as cheesy as this may sound, on a soul level. All you have to kind of judge off of is your conversation. Like in VR, you can even change your tone of voice and you can pick whatever avatar you want. So it can truly be gender neutral. And so it's been really cool to connect with these people in the VR space, and then we connect outside of VR, and to see who they really are and what their life is like. And so we all are living in these kind of dual worlds. And I've been thinking a lot even about my paintings and how they do have a virtual twin, and how they have two separate lives, like bringing my paintings into VR and turning it into a crypto token. It has its own trajectory other than the physical painting. And it's pretty fascinating and mind-boggling. But yeah, that's been kind of my experience so far.
And Elisa, can I turn the conversation towards you? What's it been like since you've been able to host some of these events that are female only? What's that like as having a community of female-oriented artists and technologists? And what might you suggest to any viewers here listening who are female themselves? How might they get involved? And what's that journey like for them on their first few steps?
Well, what's interesting is I was introduced into the crypto art community by Woka, right? So that's how I entered the world. Brooke had the opportunity to enter off of this exhibit, and I heard about this Woka crypto art exhibit, and that's when I decided I'm gonna get involved. And so the community itself is very welcoming, and as far the women of crypto art community, I can say, because that's where I connected with them. And it's a really fascinating situation overall, right? Not just with the crypto art, however, with the virtual reality and the technology of all of it. It's interesting in many ways, and I've actually been called an anomaly, right? So people are not really sure, like they're like, you're doing virtual, like, it's just different, right? It's very different. And it doesn't seem limiting being a female in my personal experience. It seems it's like everybody brings what they've got to the table, right? So I don't know if it's because of the technology and it's this like VR. I mean, you may even can share an experience because you also started in VR, right? It just feels like everybody's on this mission to create and to help and to work things out and share the information. It's like you're this tribe of innovators. We're all doing our best to like make it work and create. So I find it's been pretty welcoming and collaborative as a female artist. And I wouldn't say that I wouldn't feel as a female interested in entering this field, I wouldn't feel at all like it's a challenge or there's a harder way to get in. I think it's an equal opportunity, innovation opportunity.
Yeah, and going off of that, the VR XR crypto community is so open and everyone is willing to help each other out. It's kind of the inherent ethos of this industry so far. Is we're all discovering and exploring. Similar to Elisa, I've been in this field for 3 years, so it's still new and there's still so much to learn and explore, and it just advances everything when we all kind of communicate and work together through Facebook groups or communities that are virtual. And I've made some really amazing connections, male, female, and we really just have helped each other out, invited each other to different virtual exhibitions to participate. And it's a tight-knit community that's easy to kind of enter into.
That's really, really wonderful. I can imagine a lot of people are looking at this as now something that's actually a lot easier. The barrier to entry is less formidable. And what I'd like to talk about now as well, you'd mentioned the different types of communities and methods of communication. You had said there's Facebook, there's what people might know about called Discord. Obviously, there are virtual reality platforms like VR Chat or Neos. What are some of the platforms that you'd recommend people look for if they want to get into this community? Where can they go to start searching?
Well, one of my favorite communities is the VR Art Live group, and that's with the Savvy Life, and we've all collaborated on a lot of projects together. They have created many community events, and so they're usually open calls. And I think they put, if you strap a headset and create art, please, welcome into the community and participate in different things. And there's a great Discord channel, and you can go, and there's support channels and conversations. And if you have a question about almost anything, someone can help guide you in at least the right direction. Even if they don't have the right answer, they can give you some ideas.
Yeah, I think the best way to really just jump in is to join some of the Facebook groups like Tilt Brush Artists, XR Art Collective, and VR Art Live, to just really start exploring what others are doing. And if you have any questions, like, I just comment and get replies on how to do things or what programs they're using. And I'm really excited to explore this next chapter of crypto art auctions. And so Elisa is planning a crypto art auction coming up on the 31st. And so I started tuning into the Telegram where they host these live auctions. And coming from an art background, a traditional art background in New York, where I attended Sotheby's and Christie's auction houses, this is a totally different ballgame and it's fascinating. And so, Elisa, do you want to shine some light on kind of how those auctions work and the dynamic?
Yeah, well, it's all still new to me as well. And I am enjoying it. And I did sell my first piece on the auction a week ago or so. And I actually sold the piece before it even went on auction. So that was even more exciting for me. So, the auction, it's a Telegram. If anyone's not familiar with Telegram, it's just like a community chat, like a WhatsApp or Messenger group chat, right? And they hold auctions at particular times of the day, and they're either different ranges of time. And they showcase a particular artist, and that artist is usually on the chat. So you have conversations with the artist, and then everyone else, there's, a group, I think there's maybe about 700 plus members in the Telegram auction house. It's called the Art Gallery Auction House. And, people are just in there having conversations about whatever, and there's an auction going on, and they're talking about the art and the artist. And then, people are like, yo, did anybody bring any donuts? Or, I don't even know, like, there's just random conversation, and people are pretty supportive of each other, and they'll retweet the posts. If you're on auction, you'll see a lot of visibility in Twitter. People like to share that. And, it's kind of fun, like even just watching them go down, and you can bid right there. You make your bids, you get outbid. I bought a piece. I won a bid on a piece as well in the auction. So, it's fun. It's just fun. And we're going to be having the show on January 31st, and it'll be a multi-dimensional experience. So you can be in the virtual gallery in alt space, and that'll be in, again, either on desktop or in VR. And then you can also follow along on the chat. And so you could be bidding on the artwork in VR if you wanted to, or you could just be on the chat and, place your bids, and all of our artwork will be on sale. And I'm really looking forward to it, because we've got about about 50, well, there's about 50 plus artists in the exhibit, and in the auction is a little over 20. So it's gonna be an all day Sunday event, January 31st. That'll be the closing party of our crypto art music exhibit event. So yeah, it's, you know, it is what it is. So if you're interested in checking it out, it's the Art Gallery Auction House. And if you go to my website, elisachristine.love/events, you'll see all the information about the auction, about the events, and everything else.
And what's so fascinating about that Telegram auction dynamic is the interactivity between the artists and those bidding on the artwork. Normally in auction houses, the artists won't be able to defend themselves, explain their background or the artwork or their inspiration. And it brings so much cool insight and connection virtually that I really enjoy. And I think it's a really cool way to grow your audience and meet new collectors.
One more question for you guys, and then I think we'll have to wrap this up, and we're going to have a Q&A session that's going live after this recording. But this one is going to be kind of a tough question. I'm going to reel us back, since anybody who's interested in augmented reality or extended reality or virtual reality, I'm sure that if they've already had some inkling of interest, you've absolutely hooked them into joining or pursuing more of their interest. But I'd like to direct this and cast this line to the deeper parts of the ocean for those people who are a little more skeptical as to the reasons or the benefits that virtual reality can bring. For those who might not see it, you know, we're spending our time staring at a screen. We should be doing something more useful with our time. These people who don't see the benefit, what are some of the things that you guys have found, the tangible, the healing, or the experiences, the immersive or the reconstructive attributes that virtual reality is able to provide the real world outside of the virtual realm? What are some things that you guys might say to people who are a little skeptical of this technology as to why it's actually so breakthrough? Elisa, I'll direct this to you, since you have quite a lot of healing attributes to your XR, but don't stop there.
Yeah, well, thanks. Yeah, so I find that people, once they experience virtual reality, and I give a guided meditation. So as a personal experience, I'll guide you through the artwork and take you on a journey. And my intention is that you are actually journeying within the painting and within yourself, you know? So in the journey, I present cues, you know, related to the visual experience that you're having. And I would say that most people they feel elevated after. They feel, you know, lighter. They feel inspired. And part of that, and not only with my paintings, but in virtual reality in general, I feel that immersiveness, it creates this sense of wonder. You know, it's something you're not used to. It's new. There's this curiosity. And, you know, I feel that, you know, part of what I express is that alone brings light into yourself. You know, if you're imagining, or if you're in a curiosity state, if you're in a sense of wonder, you're not really thinking about, you know, past issues or what you have to do in an hour kind of thing. You're in a present moment. So I feel that the virtual reality experiences just kind of, they help you be present, because you're just so immersed. And being present is, for me, a key to peace and healing and wellness, you know? So that is a way that I can see that is a benefit.
Especially during times of the pandemic, being able to put your headset on and travel to different worlds, connect with different people from different locations, it's really powerful. And in some ways, it's, you know, been a lifesaver during this quarantine to be able to escape out of, even though my reality is beautiful and Telluride, into different dimensions and worlds. And it truly is a gift to be able to bring people to those places, especially if you have headphones in while your headset's on. You are fully immersed and displaced from your current reality. Another thing I think that is so powerful about VR that is still going to evolve is for education. So with VR, you're able to either learn new skills, say being immersed in a lab, and so you're not actually working with dangerous materials, or say you're in a history class as a kid and being able to enter these spaces where you actually can look around and see like the catastrophe of war and actually feel a sense of empathy rather than just reading it from a textbook. There's a lot of power there, I think, for education and wellness, like you said. And every industry is starting to consider this medium to move forward, whether it's festivals, conferences, science, education, wellness. So it's a really exciting time for XR.
Yeah, there's actually quite a lot of studies coming out saying the benefits of XR is just scratching the surface, and every organization that's begun to use it has now started to invest even more, seeing its potential. Sorry, I interrupted Elisa. Go ahead.
No, it's okay. And I was gonna say, she hit almost every point that I agree 100%. And the other thing is about marketing, right? There's so many marketing opportunities with the XR because the augmented reality, I create augmented reality business cards for clients. So things pop out of the card. And some people have seen this before, but not everyone. And so I believe that that's a really great opportunity to share your message and have people really connect and remember it. They're taking that card and showing it to their friends, etc. So it gives a new light to your message. And then additionally, in a trade show or something, if you add the augmented reality or a virtual reality experience, I think it helps people connect to the message that you're bringing to the table with your branding and with your logo, however you want to express your particular product or service. Yeah, I think it really is helpful.
Yeah, and a huge also draw for crypto, for any digital artists or artists who are curious, is the fact that you can embed a smart contract within the blockchain that will provide a royalty every time your artwork or token is traded and sold. So the artist keeps getting rewards as their digital asset appreciates in value. Whereas with painting, a lot of the time, once it reaches the secondary market, the artist doesn't receive any of those appreciation values or royalties. And so this is a really huge step for artists in monetizing their art.
Yeah, additionally, it's a great way for people to collaborate with crypto art because some of the platforms even allow the collaborators to both be on the smart contract. So as soon as that piece gets sold, the money just goes straight to each of the artists. There's no paperwork, it's just instant. It arrives in your wallet and, everybody's paid. And I love that part about it. It makes it very simple to create, collaborate, and monetize and receive,
And I think that's one of the underpinnings of why the community is so refreshing to be part of. Everyone is focused on the security, the collaboration, but also the transparency on whose work this is and where it's going. Since we all know in the digital world how easy it is to copy paste. The same goes for digital art, which is why everyone's put so much effort on making sure the attributes are given and the credit is given to those who deserve it. Well, without further ado, I want to ask one last question, and that is where, if people want to learn more about you and your work and the projects on your horizon, where can someone go to find out more about you, Brooke?
Yeah, Instagram is where I do live updates of all my projects and collaborations. So that's mindbender.art. And my website is mindbender-art.com. And I have a whole online shop and portfolio of my past work. And so, yeah, you can find me either there or my website.
So I have the website is elisachristine.love, and my Instagram almost every other social media handle is Lover Worldwide. So you can find me through that. And also if you're in Altspace or you go to Altspace, the world, you can search for NFT gallery, and I'm soon to create another gallery that'll be a Lover Worldwide gallery. So you'll be able to, you know, find me almost anywhere in any dimension, which I think is awesome.
And this is Lover as LUVR. Is that correct? Lover Worldwide?
LUVR Worldwide. Yes, the combination of the love of VR.
It's clever.
I like that. I like that a lot. Yeah. Well, thank you so much. Absolutely delightful conversation with you, Brooke and Elisa. Once again, this was the Fort Lauderdale Art and Design Week special on women in XR, and I'm so glad to have gotten an inside look into the worlds of the innovative projects that you two are part of. Thanks for joining us, and I'm excited to see the Q&A session that we'll be having after this.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Great moderator.
All the way from Australia.
Awesome.
Well, thank you guys, and let's hit the Q&A.
Well, that was fascinating, and I'd like to kick off the Q&A with something. Brooke, if you can maybe tell us a little bit about the collaboration and how this talk came about through the VR world that you and Steve and the Beyond Coral team are working to create, to highlight the projects in Tulum that we're working on with the Ocean Rescue Alliance and the Thousand Mermaids Project.
It's become a really wonderful way to expand my creative horizons while helping others and creating a greater impact. So our moderator, Stephen Rodan, is founder of Beyond Coral Foundation, which helps to restore the coral reefs. And so I have been attending those meetings since the beginning of the pandemic because I just feel deeply moved by the mission. And Evan Snow, who's director of Art Fort Lauderdale, he is part of also A Thousand Mermaids, which creates beautiful underwater reef sculptures. And so that's how I connected with Evan, is through Beyond Coral. But anyways, when the pandemic hit and quarantine was in place, there was no travel going on. And so this collaboration came about by thinking, how can we get people to Tulum and be able to learn about the coral reefs and see the vision for what is to come with this lighthouse that will hopefully become a research center and ecotourism destination. So there's a MIT brilliant young woman named Catherine Liu, and she actually built the entire Tulum world, and I created specifically digital assets for that world. And it was really just amazing to be a part of that. And there's a lot of projects moving forward, even with A Thousand Mermaids wanting to do an artificial reef swim through where you're in VR underwater and you can actually interact with these sculptures and place coral onto them as a fish was in real life.
I know there's a bunch of questions in the chat there. I'll let you go through and answer them.
Yeah, thank you guys so much, first of all, for being so active on this chat and showing your support. I think the first one is a lot of people, Elisa, are very interested in your meditative healing arts in the VR realm. So where can they learn more? And is there a way that they can experience one of your meditations firsthand? Oops, you might be on
mute. Okay. So yeah, so thank you everybody. And it's interesting for me to see the interest, right? So I have been doing personal guided meditations, and I can also do small groups. And I am working on a virtual reality world as I created, the same as I created the virtual reality gallery with all of the artwork. I can create experiences where it's in a social VR platform and anyone with a VR headset can enter this virtual world and experience the meditation all as a group, all at once. So I'm working on putting that together, and the best part about it is that everything is possible. And, you know, often I find myself working on projects where it's like, I'm not really sure if the technology is there yet, or if we can actually make it happen. The fact that I've created the gallery in VR already just sets that stage. So I'll be able to create these experiences. And so the paintings that I've created already are, I have a chakra goddess, and I can take you into basically this dome of light that you just be completely surrounded in, you know, the root chakra, you know, this glowing red orb of light, and you'd be immersed inside of this orb. And I give a guided meditation in a way that I offer visual cues and things for you to notice inside of the VR, and then also to recognize within yourself as well. And I'll take you through a journey. So it's basically more of a meditative storytelling. And you're going through this whole experience in the VR itself. And for people who do not have a headset, you know, I do the experiences personally. Right now it's a little bit unusual because of the lockdown pandemic situation. So that's why I'm working on having these group social VR experiences. At least I can keep it moving, you know, in that way. And I've also done actual guided meditations where I'm in the VR and I have the artwork of I'm in virtual reality, and I share my screen of what I'm seeing. And I'll offer that also as a live meditation. I've done a bunch of those. You could see on my Elisa Christine and LUVRworldwide YouTube channel. So there's some guided meditations that are already recorded that are for each of the chakras. And I also have an intention setting meditation that helps you anchor your intentions for manifestation. So there's a few different things, and I'm working on some more. It's a long answer, but.
Do you incorporate music into these meditations?
A good question. So I have been doing live sessions. So when I've done these live streams where I offer the meditation, I'm doing the virtual reality. And then just like, you know, I have another person on the Zoom call, and his name is Jared Bystrong, and he's an amazing healing musician. And he'll do didgeridoo, crystal bowls and bells, and he flows and improvs with me. So we have this interesting dynamic. So I'm talking about, you know, water, and then he's got like the water flowing into the sound healing spectrum of the meditation. So it's, you know, we have this fun dynamic, and we've done them as private sessions as well as group sessions live online.
Yeah, I feel like with virtual reality experiences, music is just another element that enhances the entire experience in itself. It's just another one of our senses, so we got to use it.
It will, and additionally, you know, in Tiltbrush, the software that I've used to create the artwork in, it also has audio reactivity, in where the brushes, the art piece will respond to the audio frequencies. So I use that and play with that. So when I do a private session, or I could also probably do it in the VR world, is the artwork will also vibrate to the frequency of the sound that is playing. So I play, for example, in the chakra meditation, I play the tones for the root chakra or for the crown chakra, and the artwork moves a little bit differently. So it's, I don't even know what dimension that is, but it's the additional movement added in addition to the sight, sounds, and I also include aromatherapy as well in the private session. So you've got a very multi-sensory experience when you're doing them one-on-one.
Awesome. That's wonderful. So we have two questions. One is from Jamie and from Design Your Paradigm. And she asks, one of my biggest questions is, as the VR experience is hardware gated, and as VR is very different than augmented reality experience, how do you see the virtual space getting more widely distributed or openly available? And I can begin with this. So the movement is happening. And I think with the pandemic, it's actually happening at a quicker rate. many conferences, festivals, nonprofits, education, they're all starting to explore this medium and figuring out how to become ahead of the curve and incorporate it into their business model. And so I think that one way for it to get more widely distributed is actually from the education system. So incorporating this medium into curriculum for art, for science, for history. And it's going to become a huge tool and skill that kids can obtain and learn. And so when they go out into the workforce, they have this amazing skill where they can actually be their own boss. And the power of creation is really powerful. And in VR, if with the right kind of education background and learning the specific skills you need in programs, you can become God and create your own worlds, create any object you want. And I really think, I know right now that universities are starting to create some classes surrounding this and creating virtual reality labs in their schools. And so I think that's a huge step up for the industry. And so it's kind of like bottom up, top down. So like the big corporations are all really tapping in and honing in on this as well. Elisa, do you have anything to add to that?
Sure. There's just so much, right? So there's a few other things to look at is that, you know, the equipment is getting less expensive and more accessible, right? When I started VR, first of all, I didn't even have virtual reality equipment. I was going to a VR studio and, you know, I was considered the resident artist. So whenever they weren't renting the systems for gaming, I was able to, you know, be in the studio, you know, schedule my time and just paint and figure, you know, learn everything as I could. So the point being that for 1 year of my experience, I didn't even have a headset because it was cost prohibitive at that time.
Yeah, just like me.
Additionally, you know, I had to get a PC plus the headset and everything. And now you could just get a wireless headset. So it's a lot easier now to get in VR, to experience it with the equipment. I believe it's maybe $400. You can get a decent headset, right? To enjoy and interact and create. And in another angle of that as well is, you know, we're all doing these social connection meetings, right? You know, online, live streams, Zoom calls. And the one thing about the virtual gallery that I created is that it's in a social platform. And if you're not familiar with social VR platforms, it is a way that people can connect from all around the world. And Brooke and I both love the same thing about it because you could be in your apartment, in your pajamas, and just meeting so many different people. And the VR platforms are really interesting in that you have a lot of flexibility and possibility, right? So you can have the virtual world that you create has a screen, so we can create projections. So you can do a presentation live in the VR world space that you create. You can have interactive, experiences. There are portals that take you into other places. So rather than being in a Zoom meeting, you can have your workshops, your live concerts, your gatherings, all in a VR social platform. And it allows the people to engage with each other as if you're at an event. Okay, you're not there one-on-one, you know, you're talking to each other's cartoon, as you know, it's like you're in the avatar form, sure. Although, you know, it's a lot more fun for me also, you know, viewing artwork. Like we've been and created some really interesting virtual reality worlds where you just go world hopping and, you know, you're experiencing this with your friends, you know, in a way that's even new. So all of that is, I think, a lot more fun, and there are a lot more social platforms popping up. There was a question, which one am I using? The one that I did the crypto art gallery in is in alt space, and I find that to be a nice platform. And then there's also VR chat, which is another platform that has a lot of flexibility and functionalities. So there are a lot. I mean, there are a lot. Somnium Space, Neos. There is, Brooke, help me out. There's just so many. I've only used a few.
AltSpace, VRChat, Neos are the main ones. Mozilla Hubs is really great if you don't have a VR headset. It's like a very XR based platform where you can actually access worlds and meet other individuals, even on your phone, your mobile device. And the world creation abilities is very, I'd say, straightforward for Mozilla. I just dove into it and like I'm able to create art galleries, science labs really easily, efficiently. So it's cool. Yeah.
And if you're not sure how to do it, you can ask one of us.
Yeah, exactly. And just being open with information and sharing this knowledge is such a gift. So we really appreciate your guys' questions. All right, so we have another question. How do you think the pandemic has blown a path for the continued need and development of XR VR content? So human experience. I can start with that. And so I live in a very remote town, Telluride, Colorado, population of 2,500 people. So I'm far removed from a lot of things, especially city life and those types of interactions and connections. And VR is the perfect medium to be able to live wherever you want, but to reach those places that aren't typically accessible. And so, what was the question? So yeah, in terms of pandemic, where people fear the safety of themselves with human interaction, VR takes out that kind of sense of fear for connection and being physically together, but in a virtual sense. So in terms of like this pandemic and so many things getting canceled, and a lot of industries have turned to this medium to push forward and to innovate and act very quickly during these times, because the show must go on and in just different ways. So there's a lot of platforms coming up for hosting and facilitating large scale events where people can tune in virtually, even just through their computer, but it's not like a Zoom. It's a different experience that is much more engaging. And like one is Ozone Universe. And so creating these platforms, they're just starting to emerge, and it's going to continue. And for example, Burning Man was canceled this year. And so the theme was multiverse. And so they actually, many people just took the reins themselves to create these worlds to host virtual art and bring people who have the same kind of ethos of Burning Man together, because the show must go on. So it'll be interesting to see from now on if, for example, Burning Man will continue the virtual twin to their festival to expand their audience. Not just 75,000 people can go, now say millions, depending on how much the servers can hold.
Yeah, I found the Burning Man experience was very groundbreaking. I mean, it was really put together in a very short period of time. And I know Brooke worked on some projects, and I was a part of a few multiverses, a few universes in the Burning Man multiverse. It was very confusing even. And, we were creating and seeing what could we do and how could we make it happen in a way that people could have the experience. And, it was super enjoyable. There were interactive DJ sets, where the DJ was actually in the VR world, or the DJ would be on a screen in the VR world. And there's a lot of that virtual DJing going on. And, just to be able to share, as a virtual reality artist, most of our artwork is in VR. And for a long time, for me to share that artwork has been mostly a one-on-one experience, you know, people getting into the headset. I'm not sure if Brooke had the same experience, but I felt myself doing a lot of educating and sharing and having little private pop-up events where you can peek into the VR. And now with the social platform, man, my sculpture can be in the middle of the world and people can fly around it and in it exactly the way I intended it, you know? So I think there's a lot of possibilities coming up now. The technology is catching up to our imagination. You know, we want to do so much.
And for me, I had that initial response, like VR and that headset has its limitations as well, in which it's a one-on-one experience. The person in the headset is experiencing that artwork. And so a lot of my artistic work is trying to figure out how to bring the virtual back into the real. So through augmented reality, through projection mapping, so more than one person can experience it on a collective level. And so that's the in real life version of, like Elisa is saying, through these social platforms, to have many people in one space in VR experiencing that artwork as a collective. So it's very meta, and sometimes we get tripped up trying to, to wrap our heads around it, because there's so many paths you could take, like video, installation, projection in VR galleries, and the possibilities truly are endless. Elisa, I wanted to ask too, what was your background before virtual reality art?
Okay, yeah, thank you. So I've been a traditional artist for, you know, many years, maybe over 20 years. I've been, I've created acrylic paintings. I've done some sculpture. I used to do a lot of light box mixed media work so that it had dimension in it, and it would have a few layers of transparent films and colors that with light behind it would change, and so then the image would change, and then you could put 3D glasses on and experience it also in a 3D I don't know, way. And you know, I thought that was really cool at the time. I'm making 3D art, you know, with those chroma depth glasses, and then man, just nothing is 3D until you're in virtual reality, you know. So that was a huge, you know, discovery for me once I started painting in virtual reality. Additionally, I'm a professional photographer. I've done lots of different types of photography for publications, products, lifestyle, travel, you know. When I was starting VR, I was saying that I was in Costa Rica, and part of that was a digital detox journey, and I was doing some jewelry creation with crystals, enhancing my healing practices of energy healing. And so now being able to combine everything is just a super joyful experience. Plus I bring the photography into the VR. And so I'm doing creative VR photo collages. So that's kind of a new piece of element to the VR now experience. It's just like combining all of my history and all of the pieces and parts of experimentation.
Yeah, and
come together.
And one project I'm working now on is an installation piece, because virtual reality and the 3D aspect of it has made me think spatially as well as experientially. So how does one move through a space and experience an artwork? So I have been collecting doors since quarantine, because I think they're a huge symbol of quarantine, what happens behind closed doors and how they also represent new opportunities, and portals is a huge theme in my artwork. And so it's interesting how this trajectory of my art has moved from like 2D painting to 3D digital art, back to like projection mapping, and now I'm looking into an installation space represented by portals that were inspired by the virtual, but I'm bringing that back into the real in a tactile sense. And so it's just really fascinating how to combine all these mediums, like you said, from photography to sculpture to installation. You can 3D print virtual reality sculptures. I mean, it's a whole different pipeline that can continue and evolve your work. And so I recommend to everyone to dip your toe in the water. And if you have any more questions, feel free to reach out to us after this talk. And yeah.
I have a question.
Yeah.
You have physical doors you're collecting? Is that what you meant by collecting?
Yeah,
physical.
I have 50 doors right now, trying to get
50
to 100
physical doors.
Yeah, they're just piled up in my backyard. And
oh my goodness.
Yeah, I found this amazing plot of land in a rural community in between here and Moab that I hope to create this huge, large-scale permanent installation and projection map onto the doors and make them either like a labyrinth or just like a meditative process that has really incorporated everything I've worked up to into this piece. It's going to have painting as well. And so, yeah, stay tuned, you guys.
No, that sounds super interesting.